Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pod Maverick. I'm Kirk Henderson, joined as always by Josh Bowe. We are coming to you at the very bizarre time of 7:45 on a Saturday night. The Dallas Mavericks played the early Amazon Prime game. Started at 5. It was the second in a home-and-home series. The Mavericks lost 138 to 125. Josh, how are you?
Oh, hanging in there. The Mavericks haven't gotten blown out a lot this year.
Yep.
And I think it's going to start happening a lot. I don't know. We'll see. Last time I thought that they were going to kind of pack in on the season. They literally won 5 out of their next 6. So I don't want to make too many predictions, but these last 2 games were pretty, the tank might be fully, I mean, it was already kind of underway, but it might be, we might be watching some really ugly basketball for the next 2 or 3 months.
Part of it has to be the schedule, right? I mean, the Mavericks,
the road stuff.
The road stuff comes in, but also you see who they play coming out of this, and just to, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but why not? No, they end this pre All-Star break against the Suns and against the Lakers. And then they come back and play Minnesota. That one's going to be a tough game. But then after that, they have a 4-game cupcake stretch where they play Pacers, Brooklyn, Sacramento, Memphis. And not a one of those teams is trying to win either. And the Mavericks just play too hard. So it wouldn't shock me if they go on a stupid 4-game win streak at that point, even though I think they're going to end up losing these next 2 just because Phoenix is playing quite well this year. And the Lakers need wins. The Lakers are just such a high variance team. And the Mavericks are institutionally tanking. That's fine. But the game-to-game stuff, they're just gonna lose. This one was at least, I will say this game was fun for a blowout because number one, you got to see Stephon Castle do just disgusting things to the Mavericks. And then we got to look at some new Mavericks players, and that was, I will say this about the trade deadline is when the Mavericks do something every year, which they have for going on 8 straight years now, it ends up being something new to talk about. And for a team that's not performing very well, the something new to talk about is quite nice. That was sort of my, I watched this game pretty closely. I wrote the recap, but then, when we do our recaps, I tend to, write about a 300-word summary of the game and then write some additional stuff. I wrote one thing. So I was just there's nothing to take from this game. And I don't feel like overanalyzing Marvin Bagley's play, at least in writing. Happy to talk about it here. But this was, if you were watching Duke, North Carolina instead, which Michael Finley was, he was at that game. Which it seems that North Carolina is going to win it, which is a pretty preposterous outcome of that game based off of my box score watching. I get it. This was one. It's the first in a pretty lengthy series of road games. They got bushwhacked by the Spurs on Thursday night. The Spurs are the kind of team where for most of that game they played with their food and then closed the door in the last 3 minutes. Something happened in the second quarter of this game, really the last 5 minutes of the second quarter, where the game was all of a sudden just over. And the Spurs, look, if you're a Spurs hater just due to history, I get it. Our guy Brian in the chat was like, this is some fake shooting, yada yada. And I'm like, they have scored in the 3 Mavs San Antonio games. Let me just go look at this because this made me laugh. They scored.
They've been over 130 in all 3. I know.
It was 125 to 92.
Oh, close.
Yeah, and so they're scoring on average roughly 133 points a game against the Mavericks. That, fake shooting or not, they're kicking the shit out of Dallas, and that's what matters. And Dallas just doesn't. Maybe I want to get to this in the second half of the show. Talk about the game a little bit more. It was entertaining to watch. Najee Marshall go up. Okay, ESPN autoplay. My goodness, I switched over to their box score and just blared my ears. It would have been nice to see some Mavericks come up with something. I don't really think a single Dallas player played well. Marvin Bagley. Bagley's he was fun to watch, but he also was just inefficient.
He missed a lot of layups.
Just a lot of layups. 6 of 14. He also missed 4 free throws, but very fun to watch his juice. That was a cool one.
Yep. Yeah. The box score is hilarious if you look at the shot distribution. Everyone got shots up, and Cooper Flag only got 12. It was very weird. Like the bench got more shots up than the starters by a considerable amount. Of course, like Daniel Gafford didn't play too many minutes, but like everyone, like it was a very even minutes distribution, which I guess makes sense when you're losing by 25 points in the third quarter. You're going to start shuffling guys in and out. Like no one should be playing 30 minutes in a game. The Mavericks trail by double digits, trail by 20 for most of the second half. But yeah, so just a really weird game. Like Flag never felt involved at all. He had a couple of brief stretches where he looked like he was about to kind of put his stamp on the game, and then he kind of went invisible for a while, whether that's on Cooper, whether that's on his teammates.
Did you see him hurt his shoulder?
I didn't see that.
So he went down 3 times tonight in what looked to be kind of things that would have hurt a non-19-year-old. The left shoulder early really, and you know, likes going with that left hand. So if you missed that sort of explained a fair amount of his first half. He was just getting, where, you know, they put him back on the floor, but then they stuck him in the corner. So you know, second half he had a little bit of something, but by that point they were already down by 1 million.
Yeah. So there was a really nice play. I don't know if you remember. It's almost worth. There's not much worth writing about this team right now, but like there was a play where he got the rebound, took the ball up himself. He made like a really nice move to try to get into the paint, and then the Spurs kind of blocked him off, and he made another nice move to avoid a turnover and like keep control of the ball. And he shot like a little free throw line jumper that he nailed. And I remember that just sticking out to me because I was like, man, if he's money on that shot with the way he is attacking the rim on drives and floaters and layups and dunks, like if he doesn't even need to be like an incredible 3-point shooter, like if he can get his 3-point shot up to like 35-ish%, and then he could just be really effective with those kind of short mid-rangers when teams kind of stonewall him at the rim because they just don't want him to get to the rim, but they'll give up, you know, the 15-footer or the free throw line extended area jumper. If he can get really good at that, like his scoring is, I mean, he's already a good scorer. I mean, he's been averaging almost 40 points a game the previous 4. So he's a good scorer, but like that would be like, I honestly feel like him mastering that before a 3-point shot would do a lot more for him. Obviously the 3-point shot would be huge, but I feel like that's going to be the shot that will need to be his bread and butter going forward. Cause eventually teams are just going to be like, all right, look, we're not letting you just get 1 billion layups every game. You're going to have to beat us with a jumper. So,
so think this through with me. Just sort of explain this to me. How do you stop him right now? Because the conventional wisdom is the Mavericks don't have enough spacing. Well, if they don't have enough spacing and Flag is doing this, how do you stop him if they get one more shooter on the floor? Like, what is the defensive sequence that you have to go through to limit that kind of action? Because he just seems to, I've never really seen anything quite like this, where his ability to just sort of put his head down and end up there. It's not LeBron-esque because LeBron was power. This is just, it's very, he just kind of glides to spots and then all of a sudden he's right there and it's just great finishing. So what is it like? What would a defense even need to do with him?
I mean, obviously they just got to play off of him and force him to shoot jumpers. But that's even hard because you lay off of him and you kind of give him that runway, that head start, which you really don't want to do sometimes. And he's been really good at manipulating that and going full head of steam. And even if a team backs up off of him, that runway kind of gives him the boost and the burst to finish through and over people. I don't know, probably taking the ball out of his hands, doubling him more. I mean, especially on this Mavs team. I mean, why wouldn't you double him?
Right.
Like all the time. Like the lack of point guard play, the lack of shooting, like taking the ball out of his hands or forcing him to make difficult decisions with the ball is probably the best way. But guarding him straight up one-on-one in a lot of situations, I don't know if that's going to be effective.
It's funny that Carter Bryant of the Spurs is probably the single best player that I've seen guard Flag this year. And that started in summer
He's a
league.
monster. Yeah.
So yeah, very physical, very, very physical. Enjoy watching him play. Also really enjoyed that near kerfuffle, Donnybrook, whatever the fuck you want to call it, between him and Najee. Just two dudes that are ready to play basketball. Anyway, so it's an interesting thing to think about. I want to talk about this Mavs team as a whole, because this. Let's just go to break real quick, and then I'll talk about what I want to talk about, because I've been thinking about this. I wrote a whole segment on it, and I just kind of need to get it off my chest and I could be very wrong, but I want to get your take. So all right, we'll be right back after a break. If you want to support the show, 3 ways to do so. Listen to these ads I'm about to plug in. Tell your friends. Tell your friends about the show too. We have a good time here. Normally, we tend to host a secondary post-game show that you guys can come join. Don't think I'm going to do that tonight. Saturday night, it's a weird time. But we'll be doing it Tuesday and Thursday with these late games against the Suns and the Lakers. So, those shows end up going for about an hour. And if you want to participate, be part of our community, I want you here. And then the last way, if you want to support our shows, there's literally links in our notes if you just want to send us money. So we'll be right back after these ads. Okay, thanks so much for hanging out here. Okay, so these Spurs games for me. Trying to think how to phrase this. The trade deadline for the Dallas Mavericks sort of reframed the franchise. And I think they did so. I think it did so in a way that should leave you as a Mavericks fan feeling optimistic. Moving on from Anthony Davis, kind of a spiritual decision, but also a money thing. We've talked about that at length. Gives the Mavericks flexibility. The Mavericks not having a draft pick in the 2027 year means the team has no incentive to be bad. I mean, it's top 2 protected, but you just can't plan a year around that. So understanding that, there's kind of a push amongst Mavs fans to say, look, you get Kyrie Irving back, you get your full mid-level exception. What happens if you're able to make a trade with Gafford or PJ and get somebody else in here? The things are looking up is kind of the broad scope. And I think that's accurate. I really do. But when you're playing a team like the Spurs, who are an actual NBA championship level team, one of the top 4, 5 in the league, that's a measuring stick game. And to me, right now, I don't see the Mavericks even being a playoff team next year. Willing to be wrong, hopeful that I'm wrong. But it's just when you get beat like this, and the Mavericks, I just don't see them. If they draft Aaron Peterson, this changes my math. But I'm expecting them to draft 7th, 8th, 9th, and not get a game changer and get someone good, like good, but not not franchise changing. And so I'm just sort of at this place right now when I watch these 2 games, and I'm like, I don't want to put a damper on things, because I think the Mavericks were heading in the right direction. But when you see what the Spurs were able to construct, combination of lottery luck, and then somebody like Stephon Castle just growing as he has, and just the continued smart ownership and management of the Spurs, it just puts the building challenge the Mavs have in front of them in stark contrast for me. And I'm just feeling, I was like, God, we got Cooper and that part rules, but everything else, I'm just like, God, they're just so far away.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the Spurs and it's like, all right, Spurs have Wemby, the Mavs have Cooper. So there's a match there in terms of the level of talent. Although
you got the guy to build around.
Right. They both have that. Yeah. There's the foundational piece.
Yeah.
The problem is the next 2 or 3 rungs. I mean, the Spurs get Castle and Dylan Harper back-to-back drafts, and the Mavs aren't going to have that. The Mavs can maybe do that once this year.
If they're lucky.
Yeah. Be lucky. And then that's it. They won't have a chance to do it for another 3 or 4 years. So the Spurs had the opportunity to be patient. They sold off on their vets and acquired picks at the right time. Mm-hmm. The Mavericks are a team that 2 years ago were trading everything they could to build a finals team, and they did. It's just the Spurs haven't been trying to win for 5 years now. And so when you've got that combined with the fact that they entered their rebuild without a lot of baggage, they had a lot of room to work with. The Mavericks just don't have that opportunity. Like they were a finals team 2 years ago. They made moves that made sense to get them there, but that you make those moves presuming you're going to be a finals team for like the next 4 to 5 years, and you kick the can down the road, and missing those picks doesn't hurt because you're competing for a championship. Well, now they're not. And now that, now they're rebuilding and they don't have those picks. They don't have those assets. They tried to recoup some of that with the Davis stuff. Obviously that we talked about at length, why that was good for the team, but it's just different. The Spurs had a way better runway, for lack of a better word, to get to this point. The Mavericks don't have that. They just don't have the luxury.
Yeah.
The people and I don't know. That's going to be the challenge. That's the roster building.
It's not to say they can't do it. I need to.
It's just going to be harder. It's going to be harder.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get a good pick this year, even if it's 7th or 8th. It still be that'll be presumably a good player. And then everything after this draft is the hard part, because they're not going to have control of their first round picks after that. Then they're going to need to decide what they need to do with their newfound financial flexibility. Are they going to take in big contracts to accumulate draft assets? Are they going to try to sign guys? Are they going to try to trade for guys that they actually want with that space? It's the tricky part. But you look at the roster and it's Cooper. It's Cooper and some guys. Like there's no Dylan Harper, there's no Stephon Castle on this roster in terms of like a young wingman for Cooper. Like Max Christie he's gonna be a top out, like a 5th starter on a good team is probably his ceiling, and which is fine for what he is and what he's paid and where he was drafted. But like Daniel Gafford, Najee Marshall, PJ Washington are good players. They will not be here for the next great Mavericks team,
attempt to build a playoff team. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like those guys will probably be gone, same for Klay Thompson, Brandon Williams. Like they just have a bunch of guys that are kind of filling the gaps right now. And then a bunch of holdovers from the finals team of 2024. So yeah, it's harder. Like it's Cooper and some guys, and they got really to work Kyrie with, but we'll see. Yeah. I know, but he also won't be on the team when the Mavericks are, when Cooper is 25, I don't look at the roster right now. Who is still going to be on the team when Cooper turns 25? Maybe Derek Lively and maybe Max Christie. That's about it.
Yeah.
And there's question marks about Lively and all that. So it's a blank slate, and they don't have a lot of room to work with.
That's right.
They have more than they did before the Anthony Davis trade, a lot more. So there's some more hope there, but yeah,
it sort of sticks in my craw, because I'm just like, you get your ass beat that bad, and and that's fine, happens. I'm not ever gonna root for the Spurs, but it's just if you're gonna lose, sometimes it's best to get dismantled and exposed in a way that says, all right, where do you go from here? As opposed to sticking some of these Mavs games, which like they just keep sticking around. It's fun. It's also annoying. And I also think it's painting a bit of because I watched Nick Angstad sort of threw out a potential roster for like next season. And to me, Kyrie Irving is he's just not your starting point. Like he is a starter. He is a 20-point scorer. He is not the answer at point guard. So it's like that's problem A for me. At least he's not an 82 game answer at point guard is rather the better way I should phrase that. You hope to get 65 games out of him and then play him with someone else, because that's where I think you get the best out of him. Obviously he'll help Cooper 1,000,000%, just different offensive actions. They're going to be able to do stuff differently. But I keep looking at what the long-term is. And it's just that it's long-term is next season. Because it's like next season, they have no incentive to lose like they do now. And I still struggle to see how they do anything other than become like a 9th seed. Now I'm more than willing to be wrong, because I've had a great time this season. And I think you can build a regular season team that becomes an 8, 9, 10 seed just by playing hard. Like that exists. But I also don't think there's going to be tanking like this, like there's going on now next year. So more teams are going to be trying. And there's, different guys. It's just sort of a thing that I was thinking about as I was watching that game.
And it's hard because everything's hypothetical. Mm-hmm. Everything with the Spurs, it's like, here it is. Like, here's Harper, here's Castle, here's Wemby, it's all on the floor for you to be like, oh, this is why, they're awesome. And obviously they're like the second best team in the West. So maybe maybe the second best team in the league or third best behind Detroit and OKC. But the Mavericks, it's all like, what if, whoever they pick later this summer is a legitimate bona fide star that could be Cooper's wingman for the next 10 years. What if they're able to swing a trade? What if they're able to absorb a bad salary and acquire a juicy pick and maybe 2027? But we can't say we don't know what's going to happen. Like, we just don't know. And the roster right now is so barren in terms of projecting going forward with Cooper that it feels almost impossible to be like, this is where the team's going to be. Like, there's no, like, this roster will not look like this in 3 years, maybe even 2 years. Like, it's just, there's going to be so much turnover because that's what a rebuild is, that it's hard to project how long it's going to take or the twists and turns that are going to go there. The only thing you can really judge for now is the process sound? Like, is the decision making, is there rationale there? And so far, yeah. But again, that's not going to win you games. Like, they still have to go out and scout the guys and make the trades and do all that stuff. Like, that's why, like, a lot of people have been arguing with us, I think, lately about, like, trading AD, and they're like, well, how does that make them better? Like, they traded away the better player. Like, how are they going to get better with a bunch of, fake first round draft picks for the most part and second rounders? Like, what, like you keep saying this is better for the Mavericks, but they seem like they're worse. And yeah, they are technically, although Davis doesn't play enough, like, so that's part of it. But also, it's like, we're not saying that what the moves that they made at the trade deadline guarantees them anything. It's just more, it gives, the only thing it guarantees is an opportunity. Yeah. Now they have to, how they use that opportunity is we'll see. They could absolutely blow it, and then we'll be on the show and we'll be saying, like, here's all the things that they struck out on after they traded Anthony Davis, but that wouldn't make the Anthony Davis trade a failure. It's more what they do with this moment now, this season, this summer, next summer, after that. That's the part that you really have to judge.
Yep. Well, I think if there's anything else that I really wanted to hit on, that's just my little spot.
Tyus Jones debuting and playing 17 minutes and having 7 assists and 0 turnovers is hilarious.
Just one point. Yeah.
Yep.
I wonder when he cracks the starting lineup here.
I don't know Kidd seems pretty, after that rant, I feel like he's going to stubbornly stick to point Coop starting lineup for at least a couple more weeks, right? Because he literally just went on a rant about how we don't know anything, and he's right. Like, and then he changes the lineup would be kind of like, I don't think he would do that.
Excuse me, yawning there. Well, I will say that these last few Mavericks losses, they seem to have gotten the turnovers under control. That was like an early part of the Cooper point guard lineups, and it wasn't just him. It was like the offense was sloppy.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah.
And now the offense isn't what?
The 3 holy trinity categories we talk about for the Mavs: offensive rebounds, turnovers, and threes. They won turnovers by a lot. Spurs had 18, Mavs had 7. Even on offensive rebounds, both teams had 12. And the Mavericks both shot a higher percentage from 3 and made more threes.
Yeah.
They were never in the game. They did not lose any of their big categories, and they still were down by 20 points at the end of the third quarter. So that's just kind of goes to show.
It's kind of a board game from Victor Wembanyama. It's kind of funny to me. I don't know.
That felt like a C+ effort from him, like a guy that was like, I can check out early. Like, we're good.
I mean, the defense was there, just offensively. It will never. My head does not wrap. And this goes back to Dirk. Like, even Dirk, because I just, you grow up playing basketball a certain way. Whenever you see a big man streak to the wing, I'm just like, what is happening? What is happening?
I was like, yeah, your favorite player is Dirk, though.
I know.
You get it.
I get it. It's just my brain doesn't accept it because he's just so good inside. So,
right.
Well, looking around other stuff. PJ Washington hit 2 threes, which is big for him because he's hit before tonight. He was shooting 18% from 3 in 2026. He just needs some things to go down.
Kirk, why didn't a contender trade for Klay Thompson?
I don't know. I was just looking at the Spurs lineup, and I'm like, they don't need him. Like, you would think that they did. I actually had that thought. I'm glad you brought that up because I was looking at this and I'm like, man, Wouldn't you want to trade for Klay Thompson? Can you get that 20-30 pick swap back somehow? And I'm going through it and I'm like, they don't need him. Like the Harrison Barnes spot is kind of the weak point. Poor Harrison Barnes, but that's not really a weak spot. He's just fine, you know?
Yeah. All right. Maybe not the Spurs, but again, like Detroit,
I don't know there.
New York. I mean, Houston.
The Eastern Conference teams
Minnesota.
are all fake. I think Houston and Minnesota are in kind of tax hell themselves. So,
but his contract's not that big.
Yeah,
it's $17 million next year, and then that's it. Like under $20 million in the NBA right now, with how high the cap is not a big contract.
Yeah,
it's just not. He's not too expensive. People need to stop saying he's too expensive. $17 million is not that much money in 2026.
I think when Detroit decided to move on from Ivy, that was their move.
Yeah, I know.
And look, man, he's not 39, but we understand what you mean. He's old, but trust me, Xbot's a Spurs fan. He's been in here chatting, being friendly, so everybody be nice to him. But I'll tell you, man, this guy's an NBA player. He is a useful 20-minute a game guy, and on teams like he's been really good for 2 years in a row. He's bad in October and November, and then which is he's old, and then those injuries. But he's been an Iron Man. That's one thing I can say for him. I'm very surprised that somebody was, but I also think I will never know this. Well, we might know it after the fact, but I think there's probably something to, hey Clay, what do you want? You came here to play with Luka. What do you want? And if he didn't want to be traded, they maybe weren't going to move him. I mean, we didn't hear a peep about him.
I know. I could totally believe that. But outside of that, if that didn't happen, I don't know what all these other.
I hope they rehome him. Like like a rescue animal that's looking for a new play. Like I just want some of these good Dallas players to end up.
He deserves to be in the playoffs. He deserves, and that this is not what he signed up for. So more power to him if this is what he wants to do. If he's happy,
that's right.
That's great for him. But it is kind of a bummer that he's not. He was sold a bit like. It is still funny that the two teams that he was choosing between, and
I think there's a lot to this. Mr. Lewis notes in the chat. I think he says he may just wants to be Coop's vet, and he does talk about that a lot. Like I think some of these guys that have been in the league for a few years, like Charks used to talk about this. They're like when these mid-range players, and not mid-range, but like non-superstar players are in their 20s, they want to put up numbers, and then as they get older, they want to put up numbers and get paid. Then as they get older, it's like situation. Like it's just too much, because you see some of these guys, like look at Marvin Bagley. He gets out of a shitty workplace environment, and all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, I'm here to play basketball." So I think there's some value in that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll find out. He has nothing left to like. He's got 4 rings. Like he doesn't need anything for his quote unquote legacy. So I get it. Like if he wants to stay, my thing is more not like objecting at Clay wanting to stay. It's more like I'm just like tisking the other team should have been knocking down the Mavs door and been like, what do you want for Clay? And if the Mavericks were like, we're not trading him, then that's fine, but we haven't heard, there's just no reporting on it, so we don't really know what happened. I'm just saying, if I were a contender, I would have been calling the Mavs every day asking how much do you want for him?
I can't find it. Done. I'm looking through this right now and I can't find it. There's something funky with his 3rd year, and it's like a partial guarantee, I think.
Well, yeah. Shouldn't that make it even easier for him to be traded then?
Yeah, and like it's frustrating because the Google AI overview is saying it's a player option, and I don't think that's right. So it's like whatever they do with, I don't know. It's not something to worry about right now.
I mean, even then, he's going to get paid $17.4 million next year.
It's fine.
That is not that much of your cap. This is not that much. Josh Green is getting paid like $14 million this year. Like, let's be real.
Well, I will say it is a little funny. We've watched all these Mavs games, and like the Mavs have, I think, maybe been, they're 19 and 33 losses, right? So of those 33 losses, 5 of them have been like absolute shit kickings, and 3 of them are to the Spurs.
Yeah.
That's something. Only got 1 more of those left. Okay, we somehow talked for a half hour. I think we should go.
Let's go.
I'm not gonna do Mavs party night. It's 8:15 on a Saturday. I want to hang out with my wife. it's been the 2026 has been just a fucking kneecapping so far between health and dumb things happening around the house and Mav stuff. So it's, just want to do that. Hope you guys don't mind. And I do like talking. The folks who have been coming into these, into group therapies after, we've been having some very fun conversations.
That thing you tweeted about, I don't know, the listener that said that Tyus Jones, what are these? Tyus Jones is the Michael Jordans of Ryan Nembhard. It's maybe the funniest thing I've seen all week.
It was an hour into the show, and it's this gentleman who calls in from Australia, Mr. Green. He's got a great accent. He's calling in and during his day, and he usually only calls in during wins, but he's like, I gotta talk, and because he knows AJ Johnson, and he's brutally mean about Australian players.
Is AJ Johnson from Australia?
Don't know.
Or did he play in the?
He played with in the LaMelo Ball, NBDL with LaMelo Ball, and so he had some takes on him, and it was just great hearing him just be like, no, he's not it. Which is just I don't know, but he did say, he said that Tyus Jones is the Michael Jordan of Ryan Nembhard's, which is that came in the context. If you don't understand why he says that, was essentially saying that the Mavericks have too many small guards, too much investment in small guards, and Tyus Jones is about the best possible outcome for Ryan Nembhard, and Nembhard has more or less he has hit his rookie ceiling. That's not to say he can't get any better, but it's like I don't think you're getting anything more from him. So, Okay, everybody be good. Tune in on Tuesday night. They play Phoenix, and then we'll definitely do a live show then. I have a expiring coupon at BlackRock for a free beverage, so I'll just load up on caffeine at like 5 the middle of the night. Just really healthy choices. Go seek out that Duke North Carolina game, because if you want to thirst after prospects, there were 2 good ones in that, in Caleb Wilson and Cam Boozer. And Cam Boozer, if you just haven't seen him play yet, his ass is enormous. He just looks big, big person, and like
like father, like son.
Well, NBA players don't get to 250 anymore. Most guys are narrower, frankly. It's why Embiid and Jokic look so massive. I mean, I don't even know how much, like, Wemby can't weigh more than 230, even though he's 7'5". Maybe he is. Who knows? It's his body doesn't make any damn sense to me. All right, everybody be good. We'll talk soon. Thanks so much for hanging out, and go Mavs.